Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a combined 11 for the biggest game in the Premier League this weekend, which is Spurs versus Liverpool. Saturday evening kickoff should be a really interesting game. But if you actually look at the table, there's a massive divergence between the two clubs. There's about 28 points between Liverpool, who are obviously first, and Spurs, who are way further down the table. They're fighting out for fourth. They're currently sixth. It should be a really interesting game. I think if you look at both sides, there's been a sort of parallel sort of running between the two clubs in terms of both Klopp and Pochettino joining their respective clubs about 4 or 5 years ago, having major projects, and it sort of culminated in the Champions League final last season where they both met, and obviously Liverpool got over the hurdle and won their first trophy under their new manager in terms of Klopp. And it didn't quite work out for Pochettino. Obviously he gets sacked and Mourinho comes in, and I think Klopp's going to face a tougher game against Mourinho than he would against Pochettino, especially what happened with Pochettino's final few games in charge of Spurs. They seem quite relatively lacking in character, lacking a bit of spine, and they lost a few games under Pochettino before he left. But with Mourinho, I know it's not been smooth sailing all the way, but I think in big games he's proven that he can go toe to toe with any manager and get big results. So at home as well, the new White Hart Lane, it should be really interesting. But let's go through a current combined 11. I really like doing these. I think both clubs, before that Champions League final, if Spurs had won it, it would have been, some players would have been elevated in their sort of perception in the football media landscape. But without that win, I think some players have probably lacked a bit of confidence and stuff like that. You look at Dele Alli, whether being a Champions League winner or not, there's a massive difference. But in goal, there's no question Alisson's arrived at Liverpool and he's been absolutely superb. He's changed their backline. He's added physicality, confidence. He's worth every single penny at £75 million. Makes him a very expensive keeper. But based on, Lloris and De Gea, they've always got a mistake in them. But with Alisson, you just feel like it's so comfortable, it's so confident goalkeeping all the time. And obviously the proof's in the pudding. He's a Champions League winner. Lloris, when he's fit, obviously World Cup winner too. But I think most fans would have Alisson in there, no question. At right back, the player's been named December Premier League Player of the Month, Trent Alexander-Arnold. For a player so young, he's so dynamic at right back. He scored a brilliant goal against Leicester in the Christmas period. He can add any kind of assist, any kind of pass, long range pass, intricate little pass. I think a lot of people think he'll end up playing in midfield. He's so good on the ball. Defensively, he's improving. Physically, he's very kind of rugged. He gets up and down the pitch very, very well. He's got good pace, good energy. And it would almost be a shame if he ends up he finishes his career at fullback, because I think he's a better player than that. But if you look at Serge Aurier, I think I'm a better right back than Serge Aurier. I think some Spurs fans have been absolutely devastated with how poor he's been recently. And Trent obviously gets in at right back. I think this partnership between Van Dijk and Alderweireld would be the strongest out of the two clubs. I think Liverpool's sort of second choice centre-back Lovren or Matip, solid options, no question. And I think Matip in particular has been one of the most improved players in the Premier League. But Alderweireld on his day, super experienced. He played 136 times for Spurs, and he's contributed to one of the best sides Spurs have seen in Premier League history. Obviously didn't contribute to any trophies yet, but he's there for a long time. He signed a contract extension under Moreno. He could guide them to silverware in the future. Really solid defender, quite calm on the ball, good playing out from the back. And when he joins Southampton, periods for his national team as well, top player. And Alderweireld and Van Dijk. Van Dijk on the other side. I think it'd be a solid defence, those two. They'd complement each other, I think, in terms of one being a little bit more pacey and Van Dijk and Alderweireld maybe sitting there a little bit deeper. But I think that combination would work well. At left back, Andy Robertson, absolutely no question. I think Danny Rose on his day was actually... there was a season early in Pochettino's legacy at Spurs where Danny Rose was maybe the best left back in the Premier League. Him and Kyle Walker bombing on. Obviously, one's gone on to sort of win trophies and succeed, and the other's sort of flatlined. I think Danny Rose isn't the player he used to be. 4 years ago, Andy Robertson was playing for an amateur side in Scotland called Queen's Park. Those sort of quotes that he couldn't afford petrol and stuff like that, and he's the epitome of that sort of Rocky Balboa kind of underdog story in sport. He's gone on through sheer hard work. 'Cause I think at points people question his ability on the ball, his quality on the ball, but through sheer hard work and that delivery and that quality on the ball has come from that, and obviously incredible levels of fitness and power going up and down the left side of the pitch. He's an absolute favourite at Anfield, and I think he gets into most I think he's probably one of the best left backs in the world, period. I think he gets into most sides now based on his game's just risen, and he's absolutely superb. Even for Scotland, you can see how he's sort of taken the mantle for the Scottish national side, and he's an absolutely brilliant fullback. In midfield, Fabinho and Jordan Henderson would sit at the base for me. I think Harry Winks on his day is a great ball player, hasn't had the experience of leading a midfield, as well as Jordan Henderson, in my opinion, or Fabinho. And Eric Dyer, I think you can't really put Eric Dyer in there. And Ndombele on his day would be a force in any midfield. But Fabinho and Henderson has been the base of a midfield that's been so successful. They're top of the Premier League. Fabinho is one of the most improved players Liverpool fans have seen in recent memory in terms of how average his fitness was. Klopp didn't even trust him to play a lot of games in his first 3-4 months, and he's grown, he's blossomed into an absolutely superb footballer. Jordan Henderson as well. I think he's underrated at just keeping the ball, Jordan Henderson. He reminds me a lot of Scott Brown for Celtic, plays for a massive club, one of the most capped players at their clubs, respectively, and they just keep the ball well in midfield. They don't always try the Hollywood pass. And it works wonders. Ahead of them, I think there's a bit of a debate about who would play in this midfield. But for me, I think Dele Alli, his upturn in form under Moreno has been superb. On his day, that there aren't many players like him who can score a goal from running deep from midfield. He's got a trick in him. He's got a flick in him. I think playing at the sort of the pinnacle of the midfield three would be brilliant. I think, would Liverpool sign Dele Alli? I think they would. I think he's that asset. Really hard to put down. You can't really train someone to be as naturally talented as Dele Alli is on the ball. He's a very naturally gifted footballer, and he's sort of got 3 goals, 1 assist in his first 4 appearances under Mourinho. I think Mourinho's given him license to go forward and just create things, and it looks like it's worked wonders. I think if you honestly ask Liverpool fans about Mohamed Salah's sort of form in the last 6 months, they'd say he's not been as good as Sadio Mane, which shows you how well Sadio Mane's playing. But still, with 10 goals, 4 assists in the Premier League this season so far, he's been superb. Some of his goals have been so, critical to those sort of low-scoring wins that Liverpool have been getting to just keep the momentum. Obviously, they haven't lost a game in the Premier League as of yet before recording this game against Spurs. But Mohamed Salah's turned into one of the best wingers in the world under Jurgen Klopp. I think before he joined Liverpool, he wasn't really in the conversation. He had pace. He always had the physicality and that sort of energy going up and down the right flank. But his goal return in that season where he scored 31 goals, most in a single Premier League season, obviously it didn't contribute to any silverware. But the following season, he sort of kept up that momentum even, and his goals have been absolutely pivotal. Down the middle, I think people would, if Harry Kane was fit, he'd start in most sides in the world. Obviously, he's pulled a hamstring, he won't be fit till April, which is a worry for England and Spurs fans alike. But he's still got 11 goals, 2 assists this season. He's in the sort of top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League. It's no mean feat for someone who's considered to not be having his best season as of late. And then on the left, Sadio Mane, I think he's been at absolute world-class levels. I think he's maybe player of the season in the Premier League. He's one of the best players in Europe this season on form. 11 goals and 6 assists, so 17 direct goal contributions in similar amount of games is basically a goal a game this season in the Premier League. He's been superb. He is scary. He's electrifying on the left flank, and the fact that Liverpool can play a ball to Sadio Mane, he can run with it, push a fullback all the way back to his byline, cut in on his right foot and score. Do anything with his right foot. He's that gifted. But if that doesn't work, if the right back for the opposition sort of got the better of him, then Mohamed Salah can do the same thing. And if not, they can go down the middle with Firmino. They've got incredible versatility, Liverpool. And I think that's what makes them so dynamic. It's what makes them, be unbeaten at the start of the calendar year in this Premier League season. They've always got an answer. They've always got a way of beating you. And I think this combined 11, imagine this, Mane, Salah, and then Kane down the middle. Do enjoy doing these. They're really interesting, trying to sort of just compare and contrast 2 decent sides in the last few years. Well, Liverpool in particular, exceptional what they're doing in the Premier League. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below what you make of that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if I've missed any players out.